Hi guys, my name is Alex. I am partnering with NOCD to talk to you today about rumination. So I wanted to give you a little bit of a definition of what rumination is before we get into it. So rumination isn't just overthinking. Rumination is taking that to the next level. It's analyzing, reviewing the thoughts that you have, the interactions that you've had. It's constantly playing it in your head over and over again, trying to figure something out. That's the thing with rumination, is that it tells you that there is something for you to figure out, and that the way to figure it out is to keep replaying it over and over again and figuring it out. So that's kind of what rumination is, and it's a very, very popular symptom in OCD. So for me, based on the different themes that I had, rumination showed up in all the themes. But they were obviously like a little bit different based on the theme I was encountering at the time. So when it was contamination OCD, a lot of my rumination was replaying if I had touched something contaminated or dirty and trying my best to neutralize that by washing my hands more, the next time, or just over replaying every interaction that I had with someone that day. Like if I touched something dirty, if I shook someone's hand and I didn't wash my hands after, and then I would do anything to prevent something bad from happening. And for me, something bad that would happen would be getting sick. So that's kind of what rumination looked like in contamination OCD. For religious OCD, it was very, very prominent. So I'd have a lot of intrusive thoughts that were violent and sexual about God. And the rumination part would be me constantly replaying every single thought that I had, and then trying to figure out what they meant. So every time I would have a thought that was bad, I would type it on my notes app of my phone, because I was scared that I was going to forget and that I had to go back and figure out if that was a bad thought or not, if I committed the unforgivable sin, that whole thing. So that was rumination was huge in religious OCD, scrupulosity. And that was a part of my day every single day. From the time I woke up to the time I went to bed, I was always trying to figure these thoughts out. And the thing with rumination is, an OCD, the more you ruminate, the more you try to solve a thought, the more OCD is going to be fueled, and it's going to keep spiraling and spinning, and it's going to be really, really hard to get out of it. So rumination also was really, really big with my relationship OCD, almost just as much as my religious OCD. So for relationship OCD, I would replay every thought or interaction that I had with another man, and then try to figure out if that meant that I cheated on my partner or not. That was a really big theme of mine, was that I was scared I was going to cheat on my partner. And so like I said, I would replay every interaction that I had with the man. It could also be as simple as me liking an Instagram post and then me thinking that I liked it and that my intentions are bad, and that my rumination for me would look like, oh, why did I like that? Does that mean that I like that person? Does that mean my intentions were actually trying to flirt with him? That means I'm a bad person. That means I'm not faithful to my boyfriend. That's how rumination worked. It started with one thing and then just kept spiraling, because like I said, the more you feed it, the more it grows. And so for that, I would constantly ask for reassurance, and the rumination would continue because I would keep replaying everything and keep second guessing myself. And the thing with rumination is that it tells you that there's something to solve, but there's not. There's nothing to solve, and it tells you oh, the more I think about it, the more I figure it out, the more I'm going to actually figure out what's wrong, and I'm going to get the answer that I'm looking for. But it's a trap. You are not going to get the answer you're looking for. You are just going to keep spiraling and keep finding something else to ruminate about. So I just want to give you some more examples of what rumination can look like for others. I wrote a few down. So like I said, replaying conversations in their head, Googling for answers over and over again, mentally checking if something felt right, trying to reassure themselves with logic, and obsessing over something they said years ago. So that came up for me too a few times, where I would obsess over something that I did 5 years ago. For example, if I had said something in a conversation that was mean and that I offended someone, or did I say something racist, did I say something homophobic, just constantly question my actions and my interactions with people and try to figure out if I had done something, and replaying like everything in my head over and over again. That was really, really big, and I think something a lot of people experience is worrying about something they said a long time ago, and trying to figure out what that meant. So the thing with rumination is that it's a trap. And when I was in therapy, I saw one of my therapists, she came up with a great analogy for me and something that like really helped me. So she compared rumination to running on a treadmill. So when you run on a treadmill, you're running and you're running, but you're not getting anywhere. And the only way to get somewhere is to step off the treadmill and to move forward and, move on with your life. Rumination is like that. You're running, you're trying to figure out an answer, you're replaying your thoughts, you're trying to figure something out, if you did something, if you didn't do something, if your thought meant something or it didn't mean something. It's a spiral over and over again. And the only way to stop is to get off the treadmill. The only way to stop ruminating is to stop the process. And I know that sounds like it's so much easier said than done. It sounds so much easier said than done. And I get it. Like, rumination is really hard to stop. And a lot of people actually think that rumination isn't a choice. And I kind of stand on the line of maybe at the beginning it's not a choice. Like, it kind of just happens subconsciously. But then once you realize that you're doing it, then it becomes a choice. Then you can choose to stop and move on and redirect your energy elsewhere. Exposure therapy and ACT or acceptance therapy have really, really helped me recover from rumination. So for exposure therapy, it really taught me to be okay dealing with uncertainty and not knowing what certain thoughts meant, and leaning into the I don't know, and saying that whatever, just because if I replay a thought, it doesn't mean that a certain outcome is going to happen. And I don't know what I said 5 years ago if I said something racist or offensive. Like, I can't go backwards and figure it out, and no amount of ruminating is going to get me there because I don't have a time machine to go see what happened. So exposure therapy has helped me really learn to tolerate these thoughts, and acceptance therapy, ACT, has really helped me it's called like thought diffusion, like not be so connected to the thoughts that you have. Like, just because you have a thought doesn't mean that it says anything about you or that it means something. Like, we have thousands of thoughts a day that mean stuff or they don't mean stuff. It's just because we're being fed like so many stimuli. So those two types of therapies really, really help me. Radical acceptance has been so powerful for me because it just helps me realize that, like, just because I think something doesn't make it true, and just because I think something doesn't mean that I agree with it. Like, simply, it's just my brain reacting and doing what it does best. And I have OCD, so it likes to jump to rumination. So that really, really helped me kind of like find freedom. Okay, if I have these weird, disturbing thoughts, because I know who I am and I can choose to live according to my values, not my thoughts. So that was really, really helpful. And also just realizing how rumination works is really helpful. We know that rumination keeps up and OCD keeps going the more that we analyze and try to figure things out. Like, that's just how OCD works. The only way to stop, the only way to move forward really and stop the OCD, to starve the OCD, is to not give it attention. So when your brain is telling you to replay something or think about something and trying to figure it out, you really have to tell yourself, like, if I do this, it's only going to make my OCD worse. It's not going to get me an answer. It's not going to get me anywhere. It's just going to make my OCD worse and make it come back stronger. When you choose to redirect your energy elsewhere and move on with your day and not get so attached to your thoughts, OCD doesn't have anything to work with. And so it will fade, and you will realize that it was telling you that there was so much urgency and that you needed to figure something out now, but you'll realize, like, if you don't react to it in a few hours, like, that feeling may pass and you may not even be thinking about it anymore. So that's how radical acceptance and exposure therapy really, really helped me recover from OCD. And now if I'm ruminating, I can catch myself and be like, okay, like, I'm ruminating, like, I need to get off the treadmill. I need to keep moving forward. And it's really hard, like I said at first, but once you like do it and you get off that treadmill, you will find freedom. So if this sounds like you, if you're somebody who is struggling with ruminating or OCD, all you have to do is go to NOCD.com, call the number on the screen, and they will help you find a specialized therapist who treats OCD and will help you with your recovery journey. I want you guys to know that you're not alone, and that just because you're struggling with OCD or rumination doesn't mean that you can't ever get better from it, because you can get better, you can recover, and you can live a happy, fulfilling life full of freedom. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time.